Hey folks, Jim and Leela here for the final week of DC 52 month.
Yay!
Yay! I'm free after today. No more superheroes for me. Next week we begin Alternative October, which is nothing but alternative comics from Image, Dark Horse, etc., etc. You name it, we'll probably review it, and if you have something that you would like reviewed, send it in to us. We'll be glad to review it. First up, here's Leela with Batman the Dark Knight.
Yes, Batman the Dark Knight #1. This is by Paul Jenkins and David Finch. In this one, Batman responds to a breakout at Arkham Asylum and comes face to face with a familiar foe. Meanwhile, Bruce faces some unexpected legal trouble when it comes to Batman Inc. So this was okay. It was a decent first issue. It wasn't my favorite of the Batman books, honestly. It takes about until halfway through the book for something really kind of significant to happen. And the first half is all this introspective analysis about fear, which just seems to lead nowhere, especially when the villain that you then, like, I thought, oh, so we're talking about fear. So that means it's going to be Scarecrow. And it wasn't. You know, not that the villain that they're going to deal with first off isn't pretty cool, and there's a very unique take on that character in here. And Finch's art for it is really good, although it's a very different direction for the character. It just seemed like the first half of the book was kind of a throwaway to me, and I didn't really understand it. But, you know, maybe #2 will clear it up for me.
Next up, we have Justice League Dark, with writing by Peter Milligan and art by Mikel Janin. And in this one, the Enchantress has gone mad, and not even the Justice League could stop her. So, Madame Xanadu has asked Shade the Changing Man to recruit Deadman Zatanna and John Constantine to form a team to stand up to the Enchantress's mystical madness.
It's kind of a weird team.
Yeah. But it's not a bad book. I will say this, the art is simply gorgeous. The story's okay. It's a little slow and plotting, but it works. And it's got a really, really dark tone, which really works for it.
Hence the dark.
Yeah.
Justice League.
Justice League Dark. But yeah, it's a fun first issue. Check it out if you like this kind of stuff. You'll probably really enjoy it.
Okay, next up we've got I, Vampire #1. This is by Joshua Hale Fialkov and Andrea Sorrentino. So in this one, for 400 years, Andrew has kept his former love, Mary, in check, but things are about to get bloody. Mary has built an army of vampires, and she plans to unleash it on basically the entire...
an army of vampires?
Yeah, I know. And she's going to unleash them on the entire DCU.
Woo!
So, for people who like vampire books, the vampires in here do not sparkle.
Yay.
They also don't die in the sunlight. They just seem to be very weakened, which is interesting. And they seem to be able to shapeshift. So for you who are keeping score on what kind of vampires, those are the ones you're looking at here. The story seemed interesting. I generally like vampire books, but the artwork offered sort of 0 for me on this. Like, it really deterred from it for me. It's not the art style that I like at all. I am interested to see how these characters are going to interact with any of the main DCU characters, if and when. Like, there's a reference to that it's supposed to, and I know that DC's sort of trying to obviously intermingle some of their, I don't know, horror or Vertigo and Wildstorm characters into the main universe.
Doesn't work really
yeah,
well.
I just don't know how it's going to work long term. But this book doesn't have long in my eyes to really prove it to fans that it belongs out there with the other ones. So hopefully #2 is better.
Next up, we have The Fury of Firestorm, written by Ethan Van Sciver and Gail Simone, with art by Yildiray Cinar. And in this one, Jason Rush and Ronnie Raymond are 2 high schoolers worlds apart, and now they are drawn into a conspiracy of super science that will bond them forever, unless the dog team kills them first. Okay, I love Gail's writing in this. It really saves the characters from being boring and shows realistic high school behavior. But then there's Ethan's writing, which I can really almost tell where Ethan's writing and Gail's writing kind of hit. And it's kind of an odd mix. So there's Gail's writing, which is fantastic, and then Ethan's, which is also pretty good, but it's just...
You're saying that the symmetry or
the symmetry is just a little off. That's all. It's not bad, but it's just a little off. Okay. It looks a little bit water painted in parts. It's nice art. Well, what can I say? It's got the Hadron Collider.
Yeah, there you go.
You gotta love the Hadron Collider. But, of course, it's no Cyber Frog or Killer Princesses, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Inside joke, sorry.
Alright, next up we've got Aquaman, #1. This is by Jeff Johns and Ivan Reyes. So in this one, Aquaman tries to give land life, basically, a shot, renouncing his throne and devoting himself to a new life out of the sea with Mera.
What will he do about his fish wife?
She's coming with him.
Oh.
But a dangerous new foe rises from the deep, and will Arthur Curry be forced to return to the sea to fight and maybe even to rule? I love this.
What?
Yes,
What?
I know.
It's Aquaman!
It is Aquaman, and I was prepared to not really like it. But I love the direction that they're taking the character in. I love the joke about Aquaman always being the butt of jokes.
Oh.
So I thought that was, them being very...
A little bit of breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, a little bit of breaking the fourth wall, and knowing that, fans often don't give Aquaman his due. So I think they're really trying to make him cool, and I think this one really succeeded. And the Trench characters look amazingly diabolical, and I can't wait to see what that brings to the book. So surprisingly good first issue. If you have a chance to pick it up, I recommend it.
Next up, we have Superman, written by George Perez, with layouts by George Perez and art by Jesus Marino. And in this one, a new daily planet rises for a new age, and Superman must battle a being made of pure fire. Okay.
Let's start with the good.
The art is good, okay? Art's good. I really like the dating of the Daily Planet as a multinational corporation
That makes
instead
sense.
of just a print operation. It really works, and it's true because
it's modern.
It's modern.
It reflects the times.
It does. Okay, let's go into the bad. I don't like the new costume.
Okay.
Superman is still boring. I don't know what it is, why people like Superman, but he's just a boring character. I mean, he's Superman. He beats everything. There's one time he died, but of course he came back 4 times.
It is hard when you have a character that can't face peril very much.
No,
but
it's written in quite a few parts, almost like childlike. There's scenes in this where there's writing, and it goes, and then Superman picked up a billboard and used it as a shield, and it's like, we can see that. We don't need the narration there. So, no, I can't really recommend it. If you're a Superman fan, you're probably going to enjoy it, but me, I just found it boring. And sadly, that's kind of a state of things in this DCU. I didn't really like a lot of it, but Superman especially. Sorry, Superman, you were just boring.
Alright, so All-Star Western #1 is next up with, this is by Jimmy Palmiotti, Justin Gray, and Moritat. So in this one, Amadeus Arkham enlists the help of Jonah Hex to track down a Jack the Ripper-like murderer, and their investigation leads them to an organization that includes some of Gotham's most prominent men. What is their agenda? So this is really interesting. It happens in the 1880s, so they use like sort of a color tone that's supposed to evoke the Old West or old time. A sepia tone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I like the whole murder mystery angle wrapped in a conspiracy theme. It's pretty cool.
Seems to work.
Yeah. And the hooded figure does appear here, so her appearance sort of raises questions, or his appearance raises questions of how powerful are they, what is their reach, what will they be able to do, what does it mean for the DCU. The only thing that is holding the book back for me is the whole style choice and the art. Like, just, I don't appreciate it. And I do think that Jonah Hex is a really cool character, but I think that, his disfigurement is sort of key.
Less said about that movie, though.
Yeah, his disfigurement is kind of key, and this art doesn't really bring that to the game, I guess, is all I'm saying. So overall, I like some of the story elements, and I think it has places that it could go. I'm just not really sold on the artwork.
Next up, we have Blackhawks #1, written by Mike Costa with art by Graham Nolan and Ken Lashley. And in this one, the Blackhawks are an elite force of military specialists equipped with the latest in cutting-edge technology. But after a mission in Kazakhstan, the team member Kanuchi finds she has nanocytes in her after being bitten. Alright. As much as I love Ken, I'm not going to blame him for what happened here. There's a lot of things that went on, and we're not going to go into that either. But the story and art really do seem rushed. The layouts are good. I will give Graham Nolan that. The layouts are really good. Ken's inking is really good in parts, but it really does seem rushed. It jumps all over the place story-wise, and there's really no development in any of the characters in this book. And as much as I love Ken, I can't love this book.
Yeah.
So really, I can't recommend it, but it's an interesting take on the characters. So if you like this, you might like it, but for me, it was just kind of shoddily done.
Okay, next up we've got Teen Titans #1 by Scott Lobdell and Brett Booth. So in this one, Tim Drake, Red Robin, tracks down other metahuman teens who to rescue them from falling into the hands of the clutches of the organization known as Nowhere, which this isn't the first issue that we've heard about them. In this one, Tim looks in on Kid Flash and Wonder Girl, so it sort of focuses on those two in this one, leaving the rest of the team to be rounded out later. This was a solid first issue, good art, good story. The last page does seem to indicate that Nowhere could be a major player in this DC universe, or at least in parts of it. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. As just a Teen Titans book, it didn't really hit the ground running too quickly. You know, not a lot happens, and there seems to be taking their time getting to all the team members. But it might be a good choice to really focus on sort of Nowhere and if they're villain or foe. So, you know, I can't highly recommend it, but I'm glad there is a Teen Titans book going, and I do like the Red Robin character. So, you know, I don't think you're going to be disappointed if you're a Teen Titans fan. I just hope it, you know, gets off rolling within the next 2 or 3 issues.
And at least there's no Starfire in that one. Alright, next up we have Green Lantern New Guardians, written by Tony Bedard with art by Tyler Kirkman and Bat. And in this one, failed cartoonist Kyle Rayner has been chosen as a Green Lantern and uses his imagination to save the day. But when 6 other rings are taken from active lanterns and choose Kyle, it's up to Kyle to assemble an all-new team of powerful lanterns. I actually really enjoyed this book. I can actually identify with the character of Kyle as a cartoonist myself. So I can identify with him and his struggles. And it's actually a really fun story. Unfortunately, it seems really rushed. Really short. It's 24 pages, but it seems really short, unfortunately. I really like the main characters, but why did the rings leave their hosts? That's the big question.
Yes.
But other than that, it's a really fun first issue. Check it out if you get a chance. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, next up we've got Voodoo #1 by Ron Mars and Sammy Basri. So who is Priscilla Catane, aka Voodoo? In this issue, it's a stripper with who wants to travel and use her job to get to know people. But Voodoo is so much more, and what are her motives, and is she friend or foe? Okay, so at first glance, at just peeking through the book when I picked it up, I was like, wow, this looks like a big excuse to just put women in lingerie for an entire book. And I can't say it really improved upon reading it.
And you were right!
I was right. You know, I don't know. I guess this could be an interesting character, a shapeshifter who, you know, we don't really know what they're up to. Again, I don't know how this is going to fit into the DC Universe, but I'm really kind of disappointed in sort of like, did we have to go for like an overly sexualized first issue to grab everyone's attention?
You have been reading the DCU, haven't you? I mean, almost every book has something sexual or violent in it.
I don't know.
It's really...
This could have been an interesting character to me if you know, it just didn't I don't know, just it happened in a strip club the entire time, and you sort of knew what they were aiming for the entire time. Try and sell the character.
Let me guess, it's rated teen, right?
Yeah, teen plus. So okay. Definitely, they're telling you that this is for an older age person. But I don't understand why they chose to sell the character that way. I guess we'll have to give it a few issues to give it a shot, but I really only think that this has a few issues before fans are like, forget about it. So I can't say I recommend it.
Well, that's what I think about 50% of the DCU.
Yeah, but, here, give it a try if you want something with a darker slant.
And last but not least for me is the Savage Hawkman, written by Tony S. Daniel with art by Philip Tan. And in this one, Carter Hall wants to put being Hawkman behind him and destroys the suit. Of course, the suit has other ideas, and after awakening, Carter goes to see an alien discovery and try to describe some of its mystery. And soon Carter, as Hawkman, is face to face with an alien foe named Morphicus. And in this one, I enjoyed. It's an actual interesting take on the character. The original suit gets destroyed at the beginning of the story. But then the suit decides to live inside of him.
Interesting.
And when he's in danger, the suit comes out of his skin.
Interesting.
So it's an interesting update to the Hawkman legacy. And the story is okay, not great. The art is simply gorgeous. And as much as I hate saying it, the new costume really works well for this new version of Hawkman.
Cool.
So, yeah, check this one out. It's actually not half bad.
Okay, and last for me is Flash #1. This is by Francis Manipool and Brian Buccellato. So, in this one, Barry Allen thwarts the theft of a mysterious item, but soon finds more than he bargained for when he is reunited with an old friend. Okay, I was actually really looking forward to this book because after everything that we've gone through with Flashpoint and The Flash, I was thinking that this was going to be like, one of the books that, again, could hit the ground running, pun intended.
That's a terrible pun.
That's fun. But anyways, it just didn't. I don't know. I guess I was expecting more. There's just nothing really spectacular about it, and it just
Which is kind of sad to say, because Francis is really, really good and talented.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just going to take a little while longer, or maybe, the Flash doesn't really know anything about what happened, and, so we're just starting from ground zero. But, it wasn't as awesome as I hoped it would be. But, being that it's this creative team, I think it's got nowhere to go but up. So I am looking forward to #2 and hoping that we get some, real development in the character by that point.
So, that's it. We are done. That's it. 52 comics in 4 weeks. We're free! Free!
But I am looking forward to, more of these DC #2s. I will certainly look into some of them and possibly review them in after our next month.
I'm done. No more superheroes for me. At least until Marvelous March.
Yes, we are going to do all Marvel reviews coming up, which is really interesting.
In March?
Yes, in March. I mean, so we might be past, some of the things that are coming, like the X-Men Regenesis, and we'll certainly be past Spider Island, I would think. But Fearless will still be in full swing, just to give Marvel all the props that we haven't been giving them this month while we've been doing DC. But next month, we're looking forward to doing some of the...
Alternative October.
Yes, all the alternative stuff.
Lots of alternative stuff starting next week. We will see you then. Have a good one.